Well, are you ready? Are you ready for some more great, inspiring gospel music? Well, my friends, let's all get our heads together. We're going to go to a place called Goldston, North Carolina. If you don't mind, get on your feet and please, ma'am, and please, sir, clap your hands and help me bring them on. They are the rising stars of Goldston, North Carolina. Choo, choo.
57 miles southwest of Raleigh, North Carolina in Chatham County is a small and quiet country town known as Goldston, North Carolina, home of legendary country singer Charlie Daniels. However, Goldston is also home to another legendary gospel quartet group known as the Original
Rising Stars.
The Rising Stars.
The Rising Stars.
The Rising Stars.
The Rising Stars. My name is Roy McCoy, and my position in the group is lead singer. And the group began in 1955. The original members of the group was myself, my brother Edward, my brother John, cousin Robert Sproul, brother J.C. Marsh, Richard Dowdy, and William McKeever.
Mr. William McKeever had the idea of trying to get a group together, and he talked with Deacon J.C. Marsh and Deacon Richard Dowdy, and they got together and got with the McCoy brothers.
Well, I don't know exactly. I know Mr. McKeever were from another town, but his mother and his grandparents lived in this area. So I don't know exactly who played the most important role in that. But we was approached by Brother J.C. Morris, you know, and so I don't know how much, I don't remember much past that, but I don't remember all what went on. But when we got the message, you know, we was all, J.C. went to our church and Ghost Richard went to our church. And so we were just kind of a neighborhood friendly neighbors, you know, and everything. And we went to the same church, you know, and everything. And so it began like that. And there, you know, people was going around singing before we were.
My mother and her sisters was in a group called the Standing Echo. And my oldest brother and my brother-in-law, Richard, they was sung in that group with my mother and them. And they sung, and they was hard singers. I mean, they was really hard singers, and they was really, you know, did well.
I know how long. Well, how much longer? Will our journey be? How much more suffering? Is there in store for me?
somehow or another, we Rising Stars got started, and it's a male group.
How did Mr. McKeever or Deacon Marsh or Deacon Dowdy know that you guys could sing?
Well, I don't think they knew that. They didn't know that. We just all, as a neighborhood kids, you know, got together and just decided. Because, you know, every church had a choir in it, you know, whatever. And so, you know, we just got together and decided we would do that. We started out in a little church down in Gulf area, between Gulf and Golston. And, you know, didn't have no electricity or nothing like that. So we just had made out the best we could. And so that's how it got started, you know what I mean? It just somebody just decided that they wanted to have a group. And so we decided we'd get together and practice a little bit there, you know, and I guess we thought we sounded pretty good, even though everybody was trying to sing bass. But we hung in there. And our parents, you know, they was kind of pushing us too, and they tell us how much they enjoyed us, and that made us feel good. That encouraged us, so we decided we'd go a step further. So I think J.C. Marsh was the main one who initiated the group, and because, but we followed in behind it because we all liked that. You know, we enjoyed it because we didn't have much to do back there in them days, you know, and that was good to get together and we sang and we enjoyed it.
William McKeever was the one that gave the group the name, which I think was a wonderful name because, you know, we was rising and we were rising, you know. One thing about it, we never felt like that we was at the top of what we were doing. That kept us trying. And right to the day, we still trying.
I remember before Deacon Bren and Joe and Bob and them got in the group, the other boys would be going to sing and we would have to stay home. And Daddy would always tell us, I'm going to take y'all somewhere. Remember, Bren drive us to Melbourne, down Uncle Herbert's them and stuff like that. And then the next thing I know, they were tinkling. Bren was playing Mama's pots and stuff. And then he got in the group and Bob was in the group and Joe was in the group and everything. So, but anyway.
Did you and that Nene feel left out and felt like you guys need to form your own group, like a girl group?
No, I was just so excited to go with them.
Well, my name is Richard Dowdy, and I played the part in the Rising Stars. I was a guitar player and the leader, and one of the leaders.
In the beginning, I began to get comfortable, and I began to play the lead guitar. And after which, yes, I bought a bass guitar, and I learned to play it after a period of time, and we moved on, and I thought we made a pretty good move. And during that time, we practiced and we sang, and Brother Bob and Brother Joe took over the music part after my brother and I, Roy, graduated. We moved out of town to Greensboro, found us a job, and so we left our equipment here. And so we tried out by some other groups. They had heard about us, and then so they wanted us to help them with their group, you know, in situations, but we didn't stick with them. We just practiced around with them a little bit while we was in Greensboro. So Joe and Bob began to use the equipment, and they really done well, really well, and they played real good. So we come back home, and they would begin to show us what they could do.
Well, now, Brother Joe, I'm gonna tell you about him. He used to sit around and play his guitar. Brother Joe was he learned how to play a guitar faster than anybody I ever seen. I mean, he was good with it. I mean, he was really good. He was really good with it.
So I felt like it was time for me to lay the bass down. And so I think maybe Brother Richard probably done the same thing. But anyway, however, they began to play for us, and they were really, really good. And so from that point on, I began to sing baritone and sometimes be second lead.
Brother Joe was see, I started them. We all started, and I started them all. But Brother Joe wasn't long before he come in, and I'm gonna tell you, Brother Joe was good. He was really good. He was really good. I put him with anybody. I mean, Brother Joe was really good. I mean, I don't know how what he done, but I know he was a good guitar player. I know that Brother Joe was hard to beat.
I remember so many years they traveled singing, and we had to sit at home, but we got a chance to hear him rehearse, but we didn't get to hear him sing at church much because we wasn't able to travel with him, you know, because we was a big family, and of course my mother, she would go and she'd take my baby sister, and then my brothers would go. And I felt pretty comfortable, you know, sitting at home until my brother Joe got in the group. He started in the group, and then when he did, because we was all at home, you know, where they was traveling, and we enjoyed one another.
We all began to sing. And we had a guitar at the house.
When it was home, Joe kind of picked up the guitar, and he just plunked on it and played and plunked, and he learned to do well, because the group already had a guitar player, and my brother John, my aunt Pearline McMillan gave him a guitar at some point in time, and he was trying to learn to play then, but anyway, Johnny was picking up pretty good, and my brother Joe had John to tune the guitar up for him.
And before we would go, he would have my brother John, who know a little bit about that, to show him some other guitar.
And then John, them on Sundays, they'd be gone, right? And Joe be sitting around playing and playing and playing.
And while we were gone, I guess, I'm sure he did, because when he come back, he would say to my brother John, look what I can do. And I'm telling you, he kept making progress like that. But Brother John's supposed to have been the better player because he was sure. But when Brother Joe kept playing, he got good enough to show Brother John what he could do. And of course, you know, we had a regular struggle there because Brother John didn't want him to outdo him. But he did. He surpassed him and went way beyond him. So Brother John set his guitar down and let Brother Joe have it. He the one that brought us through.
And finally, he kind of got it together somehow or another. I don't know, but just, I guess, a gift from God, because he didn't go take no guitar lessons and nothing like that, but he was a great guitar player. And they signed him in on the group, and left me and my baby brother at home. Now we sitting at home. And but anyway, we just gradually blended in, and I thank God for it because that is one of the greatest things.
'69, the guitar player, Brother Joe, Uncle Sam had given an invitation to call. He was calling. When he left, we didn't know whether he was coming back.
He had been called, you know, for the draft, you know, and somehow or another, my father hadn't been long past, and so my mother needed him, you know, at home to help, you know, for us to provide for us and everything. So after I graduated out of school, they came back for him, because when they called him, and at the time, you know, where the Vietnam War and stuff was going on and everything, and sometimes when the people would go be drafted and to get to be examined, they didn't even get to come back home. Sometimes they just put them on a bus and carry them on. So anyway, my brother Joe left, and they caught their bus over to Raleigh to be examined and everything. So in the afternoon, most time anytime when the other brothers had been, they would come back, you know, if they didn't pass or whatever, but they come back. They catch the bus back 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So we goes back to the bus station to look for Joe, and he wasn't there. So we come back and we tell our mother, you know, that, well, he wasn't on the bus, you know, so they didn't come back. So we said, well, Lord, I ain't heard nothing. So the next day, the same thing. And Joe wasn't on the bus. And we got to worrying about it because we didn't know whether we were going to lose him to Uncle Sam or what. But Joe had a story to tell. And it was touching because he said, Joe, you know, by being examined, you know, makes you a little nervous and a little jittery. Blood pressure kind of was up. And at the time, guys and things were doing different things to make their blood pressure up. And I think they were thinking that Joe had done that. But anyway, so Joe went through the third day, and Joe said, you know, Joe was getting more nervous and nervous because they keep holding on to him. But anyway, and Joe said it was this, it was a white fellow that was walking around here, little pamphlets, and they give them to him, and was for him to read, and he read them. And then Joe was praying also, and we all was praying for him. And anyway, and so by and by something happened, and I don't know, was the third or the fourth day, but whatever it was, they checked Joe, and it still, you know, things wouldn't fit, you know, for him to go. But the funny thing about it is we all went to the bus station again with me, baby brother, and Pastor Roy and cousin Robert, you know, because we were concerned. And we goes, and everybody come off on that bus except for Joe. He was the very last person on the bus. And we just already was giving up because we said, well, he probably gone. And so sure enough, right at the end, Joe stepped off the bus.
Wasn't gone for 3 days. And in 3 days, the Lord let him come back home. We thought Uncle Sam had him, he would be gone from the group. But it was 3 days. So he didn't miss a rehearsal, he didn't miss a practice, anything. The Lord let him come back to us.
And being young, you know, we always kind of carry on a little bit. And Joe didn't respond. And but we were glad to see him, you know, I'm telling you. But Joe seemed to be somewhere else. So anyway, so we seen that he wasn't into too much of our carrying on or whatever. And he come home and my mother was getting ready to go to prayer service that Thursday night. And Joe came home, and my mother was ready, but she was kind of waiting on us to find out, you know, was Joe okay or whatever. And so he come in, and Joe was fell in Mama's lap. And then Joe followed my mother to prayer service. And something happened to Joe. And that's where, you know, I know the Lord deal with us a lot of time because being in the Rising Star, you know, spirit move and we could feel it and everything. But something happened, something came over Joe. And that's when I knew there was a change in my brother Joe. And from that day on, you know, as I think some said, you know, we kind of came in one or two at the time, you know what I'm trying to say. But, you know, when you see God working like that, and my daddy told us years before, you know, but we was always concerned about having to go to the service, and it was a bad time. Nobody didn't want to go in the service that I knew of at the time of Vietnam War, because some of our friends and classmates and people in the neighborhood was, you know, being killed and everything. And so, but anyway, the deal is, my daddy made a statement saying, y'all don't have to worry about going in the service, you know. And sometimes, you know, we just think he's just talking, and which I think he was just talking. I don't know, he could have known that, but he told us that. And sure enough, we all escaped the military. We was here serving God, you know, and I'm telling you, I enjoyed it, because that's why I can tell you this day, I still stand saved, sanctified, and filled with the Spirit of God because of being in this group.
My name is Louis McCoy, but I'm better known as Bob. And I am the bass player for the Rising Stars. I feel especially blessed because I had a brother that was doing the job, was playing the bass before I was, and he didn't have to give his job up, but he did. And I can recall there was a time, and I think maybe what it all come about and how it all come about is it's been forestated that on Sunday mornings before my grandmother would preach, she would ask the Rising Stars to sing. And on this particular Sunday, my brother John, whom became our manager in later years, he was the bass player, and just so happened, for some unknown reason, he wasn't able to be at church that Sunday, not the morning part of it anyway. And my grandmother wanted the Rising Stars to sing, and when she looked around and she didn't see John, she said, well, I guess I won't be able to hear you all sing today because you're missing a member. And after a brief moment of discussion, they told our grandmother, which was our pastor, says, oh yes, we can sing today. It says that we got somebody that can play in his stead today. And well, that was my grand moment and my wonderful chance, how blessed I was. And it was for me, because I got a chance to do a little something that maybe a lot of people didn't know that I could do. But after their singing, and I was able to play the song, you know, I don't remember exactly which one it was, but all of the songs they sang and played, I was right there learning right along with them, but I just didn't have an opportunity to perform as they did because I didn't have that job. But on that Sunday morning, I was able to play the song, and my brother had heard about it because we had an afternoon service. And so they thought I did well enough, and of course, you know, I had to ask because I really wanted to do it. Could I do it in the afternoon service? And he allowed me to do it. He said, yes, you can do it, you know. And so that was the second time, same day, that I was able to play the song for the group. And after that, wasn't it amazing to me? After that, he decided, he said, well, if you can play the bass, and if you would play the bass, he says, I would just sing. You know, so, you know, I mean, I probably just couldn't really believe it, but it was a wonderful thing because all those years that I desired to be a part of the group with my brothers, then I had that chance. And it was a wonderful moment. And from that time on, I became the bass player. And of course, now I had to be coached a little bit. And believe it or not, my brother John and our lead singer, whom is my pastor and bishop right now, also could play the bass, and he played it left-handed. And he played it bottom sides up. So, you know, and he was kind of coaching me along and kind of teaching me a little bit because I was kind of a shy person and wasn't too sure of myself. But he worked with me a lot. He really did. And but, you know, you have to kind of see things in a reverse situation because he was left-handed. But I just want to say that it was a wonderful moment for me. I could never forget that. I can never forget that. I had the opportunity, but I would like to also add that there was a time in my life when I was getting out of junior high school, I guess you would call it now. At the time, they didn't label it as that, just simply the 8th grade. I was moving from the 8th grade into high school, but you couldn't play high school sports until you got in high school. And the only thing that I could think about during my elementary years was that once I got to high school, I'm going to play football. Okay, well, how does that relate to what we're speaking about right now is that I had to make a choice. Will it be football or will it be the Rising Stars? And I have to tell you, it wasn't a hard choice to be with my brothers than to play football. And I thought about that for years, but I chose to play for the Rising Stars.
I got in the group. The Rising Stars used to come to my mother's house to rehearse, and I enjoyed their singing so much that where they was practice, my mother had a little, I guess, call it a TV tray, whatever, you know, a little tin up, and I would get coat hangers and kind of twist them around a little bit, and I would just be tapping along while they sang and while they rehearsed. And so then my older brother said, hey, he said, that sounded pretty good. Said, you might need to get you some drums, you know, to play. And I got excited about that then. And I went to Mama, you know, hey, Mama, I need a drum. I think they'll let me play in the group. But anyway, my mother, she, cause we had this Roses, you know, like a 5 and 10 cent store or whatever, but they had some instruments in there. And my mother bought me a drum and a cymbal, which came with the drum. And I started playing it, and anyway, and I just kind of blended in with them, and they took me in. And of course, at the time I was 16 years old. 15. Yeah, I was 15 years old. And, but I thought it was about the greatest thing that ever happened, you know, for me to.
Well, we rehearsed at my home, in my home. We rehearsed there in a living room, which was a large room, where we had our music and stuff set up. And it stayed there until we would go out on the program. And that's the way it was.
When we began to sing, we didn't have it together. Everybody wanted to sing bass.
I think bass was a popular note in singing back in the day.
But everybody couldn't sing bass. So we kept working. We found out we had to start singing parts.
I remember which I heard them say, but you know, I wasn't all that concerned as soon as they started. But they were saying, you know, they finally learned how to sing parts, you know.
So we began to catch on to that. We learned how to sing parts. And we just kept moving on up, progressing and doing better. And
Who taught y'all how to sing parts?
We taught ourselves. We found out that it had to be done, it needed to be, and we decided to do it, and it sounds so much better and everything, and you know, so we actually taught ourselves. We didn't have no teachers. Doing better, and our fans were telling us how well we was doing, and I don't think they was exaggerating. Maybe some was and some wasn't. But anyway, however, we stuck it out. So at that point, you know, we got to be well known in the area. Okay.
My first cousin, Robert Spruill, used to do most of the leading. And of course, we had several of them in there could lead. Matter of fact, about all of them could lead. I never noticed my oldest brother doing no lead much, but he sung tenor in the group. And but Deacon J.C. Marsh, he lead songs. Deacon Richard would sing a lead on some songs. My first cousin Robert would sing, and my brother Roy would sing. But my brother Roy, he was kind of a stand backup person a little bit. You know, I mean, he sung, but you know, he, I guess, a little bit bashful or whatever. But I think my oldest brother offered me money to sing, and he was singing. He the only one of us that sung for money. But anyway, we was improving in singing because, you know, the more you sing, you know, the better you get.
And sometimes it would be late at night before we would break up from the singing. And all the people in the neighborhood, they would sit out on their porches and different places and listen to us sing. And they're even telling us about that now, you know, how they used to listen to us, didn't have to come to church. They could hear us all over the neighborhood singing and practicing. So that was, I thought it was a wonderful time.
All right, let me work with it. All right. Check 1, 2, check. Stop. Well, it was in my childhood days. So many years ago. The same, some of y'all don't remember that. Holy Spirit, with us today. When we got there, religion, and you try to believe it. Each and every day. It's that little well, some of my older friends remember that. I wonder, can I say it one more time? No more
We had some good anniversaries. Yes, we did.
I was excited about their anniversary, getting their outfits together, and I would help them, you know, try to get the outfits ready for the anniversary. It was just a big event for me, and just to watch them, you know, it was wonderful.
We would get together and say, well, we get together and say, look, we need to buy some new suits this time, and we dress up, and I never will forget. I never will forget it. We bought 2 or 3 different suits, you know. We had a brown suit one time, and I had a burgundy suit one time, about the color of them seats there. And I'm gonna tell you, the Rising Stars were rough.
It was exciting. It was wonderful. I mean, first of all, in the earlier years, when I first started, I mean, we just had a nice suit of clothes that we would put on, and we was all different shades and different colors and different types of clothes. But as time went on, we was unified, going to be fitted for our outfits, you know. And so, you know, everybody had their likes and dislikes. But our manager, he said, well, I'll tell you what. He says, I believe. He says, it's just a singing uniform. It says, I believe if we will all accept and get on the same page, that we will all look good. You know, so it's not that everyone made their individual choice as to what they wanted to wear, but we got what was fitting, what was presentable. And I have to say, I believe he was right, because when we were all unified together, I think everybody was satisfied. Even we ourselves were satisfied the way we looked. So it was wonderful. It was. And to preparing the songs, getting ready for all those rehearsals, and being a little nerved up because we were maybe a little overexcited and hoping that we would do our very best and not make too many mistakes.
Well, it was really complicated. It was, it seemed like everything worked good all year long. And the last 2 or 3 weeks before the anniversary, looked like everything would go backwards. Seemed like we couldn't get nothing to work right. But, you know, after a few years passed by, I found out that don't be discouraged when it comes down to that. Satan always try to get in everything that you try to do is good. He try to get into. And so different things would come up, and some of the guys would criticize our own singing. And I said, you know, let other people do that. We too hard on ourselves. So anyway, but the greatest thing about it all, out of all the trouble we have going through here trying to make that last preparation for the anniversary, we would take it to God in prayer, those that could pray and get a prayer through. And I had confidence that it was gonna be all right. And you know what? Looked like the most of the time, seemed like every time after the anniversary, we would have such a successful program, singing go well and everything. So sometimes we'd go off the stage where we had the anniversary at among ourselves, and we break down in tears how God has blessed us to do what we wanted to do. But you see, I learned how to trust God through that situation, because I found out if you bow down to everything that Satan offered you, you will be down all the time. But God brought us through many, many programs and many anniversaries. And but things didn't go well. It seemed like everything was going backwards at the time, but we stuck it out. We didn't get discouraged, and we went on, and we was very pleased with the end results.
Everybody say, oh,
Brother Jake, he was really missed. I mean, we really missed him in the group. I mean, other words, he sung a part that really helped the group.
Well, we know when he passed, then we were without, and we had to get over that. But we didn't have anybody to replace him. We continued to sing with what was left of us. And it was a big loss to us because we depended on him to pull his part. But the Lord brought us through it.
Well, the most fun thing was, I guess, and someone may be forgotten it, but it was me. I was the one that was the main one. Of course, this is an experience, and I think about it today, and I was a little nervous, you know. I didn't never think I could be a leader. But we was in Siler City many years ago in an old church. Well, it wasn't a church, it was a storefront. Didn't have no floors, had dirt floors and wood benches with no backs. And we was took a program up there in Siler City. And I'll never forget it, and I remember it so well. And so I began to sing. You know, we was all trying to sing, and so they had a song there, Wade in the Water. Jesus is Calling, Soul Stirs. And oh my, I began to sing the song there, you know, and I don't know, I got a little nervous there. I got so nervous there, I changed key, and I was supposed to have been singing lead, and before it was over with, it seemed like I was singing tenor. But anyway, I was, you know, and so I talked to my daughter about that now, and she gets a big laugh out of it. And I try to encourage her to sing, and, you know, and she said, Daddy, well, you didn't, you telling me all that, and said, why didn't you do that? And I said, you shouldn't be holding back. I said, do your best, and everything like that. And so she said, well, Daddy, you remember what you said? Why didn't you do that? Well, I said, now, she said, you ought to be able to understand my being nervous. I got that from you. I said, but I'm trying to encourage you. I don't want you to do the same thing I did, because I see you got the talent and you can do it. But anyway, she got a big laugh, and every time I think about it, I get a big laugh out of it myself. But anyway, I'm better now. I got over that. I got to the place where I could do what I needed to do without any hold-ups, any hang-ups. All right.
But it was another program we went on, and Highway QC's was singing, and they came up short. And the guy, the guitar player, he was a great guitar player. He was a tall guy. They called him Tree. And Tree was playing guitar for them, and he asked me, he said, hey, we need a drum player. We need to play drum for us tonight. I said, okay, you know, I think maybe I could. And so when they gets out there and they start singing the song, forget what it is. Can't even call the song now. But anyway, the song, one of these moments and it won't be long, you look for me and I'll be gone, you know. So the song had a certain type of beat to it. I mean, you know, I'm just gonna follow the rhythm of the song, you know, so I started playing with them, and in a few minutes, you know, a Tree looking over at me, you know, and he was saying, you know, like that, you know, and the song to me had a little speed to it, and he just kept doing it. I'm trying to figure out what is he trying to do, you know, he was trying to get me to change the beat. And I'm saying now, I'm in the middle of a song, and changing the beat, changing up in the middle of a song is a big, you know, anyway, so I kept on kind of playing, you know, and he was trying to give me the eye and how to do, and then the audience that got into it, they were watching me, they were watching him, watching me, watching him. And finally I just said, you know, because he just kept on there, I said, well, okay, I'm going to do what he asked, you know. And I did, and I found out, you know, that it worked out, and he knew what he needed, but I wish we could have got that together before we got on the stage. But anyway, that was an incident that happened, and, you know, kind of fun and a little embarrassing too, you know what I mean? But still, you know, we got done with the program.
One night we went to sing for a cake. and we went to sing for a cake one night. And we went, I believe it was Raleigh, somewhere over there, Durham, somewhere. In other words, we went to sing for a cake. And these singers, the trumpeteers from Sam, Jonesboro, the trumpeteers, I think that's what they call us here. But anyway, a man over there told us, says, you boys ain't got no business here. Say, y'all need to be out with the big boys. Say, y'all ain't got no business here. But we, you know, we were just singing, and they asked us to come and sing for them, and we sung, and we sung, but they were just keep, you know, it was hard to win that cake. It was hard to win that cake because we were singing and then they were singing. We were singing and they were singing. And come down to the end of it, this man got up and said, I want to make an announcement. He said, what y'all doing in this place anyway? He said, y'all ain't got no business here. Y'all ain't got no business here tonight. He said, y'all ought to be out with the big boys. That's what he said. He said, y'all ain't got no business here trying to sing for a cake. And that's what he said. But anyway.
Did you win the cake?
I think they had 2 cakes. They had 2 cakes. And they give us a cake anyway, I think. But really the other group won. They didn't give us a cake. No, they But the Rising Star was the Rising Star. They sung, and they was really good. I'm not saying it because I was a Rising Star, but they as the group as a whole, they was really good.
They also had some uncles that loved them dearly. And one was Uncle Lynn, Wesley Lynn, Nathan Elbert, we call him Uncle Boo, and Uncle Herbert. And I remember a time when they were singing, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Burlington or either Durham, where they were singing, and we were in this, it's like I don't know if it was a school, but it was a big center. And they were in the back. And my brothers were singing, they were singing out of their hearts. Next thing I know, Uncle Lynn, Uncle Boo, Uncle Herbert, all up around the stage. And I was saying like, Lord, I was just so excited, you know, because they usually sort of shy, but they would come. But honey, the Spirit of the Lord was so high, they came all the way from the back, all the way up. And then I think that's the same time when they got back home to Golston that the group lifted Brother Joe up in the air, and they were just like thanking God for his ability, how he played and everything. So it was just a good time, a wonderful time.
Biggest fan. Well, Inez Fox.
Lady from Sanford, Miss Inez Fox, and another lady, Miss Street, and Mr. Eli Petty.
I think my brother, June, Ed, his name, we call him June. I think he was, because he was always ready, always trying to provide a way, and he hauled the music most of the time. He had a pickup truck, and then when that went down, he got him something else, and always had something to handle and carry our music with us. So he was a strong supporter of the group.
Uncle June was the one that I would say would be the one that really encouraged us to do so. He sang tenor, and he was one of the best. And without him, he wasn't much that we was doing, because he seemed to be and he was the first one saved in the group also. So you know how much that he may have encouraged us and kept us going. And you know, through whatever we were faced with, Jim was there, and he always made a way for us so to make sure we could, he the one who had vehicles that could transfer us and things like that. So my brother June played a great part in this group to get us started. And then as we started, we joined in with him, so it wasn't so hard for them then, because all of us was working together and very much encouraged. And the more we practiced, the more we sang, the better the group got.
Grandpa was one of our biggest fans, and he enjoyed us so much. But I think he saw a vision, and he could see that something was in the making. And he spoke to us on his dying bed. He told me, personally, he said, whatever you do, don't y'all quit singing. And he loved Grandma. He called her Mama. He said, y'all take care of Mama. And don't ever quit singing. Don't let nobody stop you from singing. And I thank God, I think that was one of the most important things to us when things begin to happen. We think about what he said, and we kept pushing. And I thank God we made it.
Aunt Sally, Eleanor Belt, which was their aunt, our aunt, she loved them dearly, and she would follow them. Mama, of course, would go, but Aunt Sally would tell them to save her seat. She wanted to go. And she would go, and she was a big, big supporter of the Rising Stars, and also the founder of Mount Sinai Gethsemane Church, which was Elder Myrtle Spruill, our grandmother. She loved them. Oh, she loved them so much. And when they would sing, Granny, we would call her Granny, she would sit in the corner and get her handkerchief and just wave it and wave it and say, go ahead, boys, go ahead. So that was just a blessing. It was just so wonderful.
I had an uncle that was that way also, and my Uncle Lynn. And because we had others too. But then I know they was our friends, and they, well, I have to say two of my uncles. I'm my Uncle Herbert Spruill and my Uncle Lynn Spruill. And then, because all of them enjoyed singing, but those that motivated us most were those two.
My daddy, he was proud of us. He was proud of his sons. Although I didn't get in the group where he was living, but he babysit us where everybody else left. We had one car and 10 people in the family. And there was many times when we decided to go somewhere, they either made 2 trips or we made one and hired someone else in the neighborhood to carry the other half. But mainly, my dad, he was proud of the group. And I never forget the day before he died, he followed the group every program they went that day. And that was a little unusual, because every now and then he may make one somewhere down the line in the time. But, by all us couldn't leave at one time, had transportation, Dad, especially me and my baby brother and Joe, we was always, on Sundays when they out traveling, he would be there, taking care of us. And like I said, then there was time I had mentioned earlier about how we wanted to go when Joe left home. Then me and my baby brother, we really felt like we should go too. But my dad, he told us, of course, I might have been too big to be crying, but still we wanted to go. And he said, look, don't worry, I'm gonna buy y'all a car. And I'm thinking, he just trying to pacify us. But sure enough, he did. He bought a car. And, and the reason I know he bought it for me and Bob, because after he bought the car, he didn't drive it none. Except maybe on the weekends, he may go somewhere, but during the weekdays, he would have someone else to take him to work, and he'd leave the car at home, and me and Bob drive up and down the road. Dirt road, of course, we didn't have no license. But anyway, my dad had loved the group, And he fathered us. This is mainly what I want to say about him, how he followed the Rising Stars that Sunday before he died, every program. And I think they made 3 programs that Sunday, 2 in the afternoon and 1 that night. And I think about that, you know, and I feel like that was his way of supporting, because in his goodbye, he was with us at the last day, you know, and I just thank him for that. And I thank him for the things that he done for us, because he encouraged me that you can do whatever. Because always, you can do it, you can do it. And my older brother picked it up, and June, he picked it up, you know. I always encourage that you can do whatever you would like to do. And so out of all of that, you know, I just feel like that my dad was with us, and he's proud of us today, because we are doing our best to continue to serve the Lord in singing.
Mama used to wake us in the morning and she wash your face and comb your hair and get ready for school. Then she would go to work and come home in the evening, sit down and teach us the golden rule. She nursed us and we were sick, and whipped us and we were bad, and taught us to hold our heads up when we were sad. Mama, oh mama, I wanna thank you for what you did. Oh mama, oh mama, you raised us from small kids. Listen, oh, we lived in a shack, but she just like a mansion, because we all could call it home. My mama told us to always stick by one another. She said someday, son, your mama will be gone. We didn't get everything we wanted, but we got what we needed. Mama did her best for us all. She taught us how to appreciate what we get.
I said the greatest one was their mother, our mother, Elizabeth McCoy.
Our mother, and I'm also happy and proud.
And grandma, and Nancy's mama. I call her grandma. And Nancy's mama. So
It had to be my mother, because she was proud of us, what we were doing.
I had a good mother. We had a good mother. And many times I know she would love to be asleep in the bed, but we was making so much noise there, and we'd get a hold to a song, and we wouldn't turn it loose till we got it ready, you know.
Thank you, mama. I got to thank you for every little thing you did. Hey, mama, oh, thank you, mama. You raised us from small kids. Hey, mama, oh, thank you, mama. You raised us from small kids.
My name is Reverend Anthony, Dr. Anthony Farrar. Used to sing with a group, family group called the Variety Jubilaires. And you could tell that they were genuine people that really believed in what they were singing. Their professionalism, their tight-knit sound, everything was well coerced together. And they just exhibited the very best in quartet.
My name is Marvin Dowdy Jr., and I played with the Mighty Travelers out of Siler City. How did they perform? Oh, they would rock your house. They would rock your house just about everywhere they would go. Especially when we were on anniversary, anywhere the Rising Stars would go around here, just about anywhere, they would rock the house. They was on program. They used to sing on program with a lot of good groups. They just rocked the house. Oh well, your Uncle Joe, he really could play. He really played the guitar. He really could play a guitar. Sat that man played guitar, and he sat back there and grinned, and he just go to town. I mean, he really could play a guitar. I really was stunned on the way that he played his guitar. Cause he would play them songs that the Rising Stars would sing. He would play them songs just like the record. He showed up.
I'm Walter Wallace Hatcher, better known as the old Chatham County country boy, formerly of Goldston, North Carolina, now making my home in Pittsburgh. And I'm well acquainted with the Rising Stars from way back. We grew up together, as a matter of fact, and I know every one of them. That's how I remember the Rising Stars so well. I remember every first Sunday night, especially when they would have what they call the Gospel Express, which was the Rising Stars of Goldston, North Carolina, the Mighty Travelers of Siler City, the Heavenly Quintet of Sanford, Boyd Brothers of Pittsburgh. But when they would have it, they would go around to different churches on the first Sunday nights. But when they would have it at Gethsemane Holy Church in Goldston, North Carolina, on the first Sunday night, I would be there. And the Rising Stars, they were my favorite group. Well, back then, the Rising Stars, I mean, you know, they had a following. They come on the scene, look here. Folks look around, that is. And when they would go somewhere to sing, especially when they would be at Gethsemane, it would always be a packed house. Let me tell you, it would be a packed house. It would be standing room only just about, you know? Because, I mean, they were a very popular group, and everybody knew them, and they were such fine gentlemen. Like I said, you know, I always admired them because they always were so well dressed and so well mannerly. Because they was everybody's favorites.
I give honor to you for this opportunity to tell some things I know about the Rising Stars. The Rising Stars, when I think of the Rising Stars, I am reminded of how they were men on a mission for the Lord. That affected me. Because the Gospel Jubilee and the Rising Stars sang together quite often. We sung together, and the lives they lived before us, and we lived before them. That was awesome. For years we traveled near and far, and we knew that we were a different kind of group. If you knew the Rising Star, you knew some men that loved the Lord. We knew that we were not groups as usual, but groups that proved that we were men of integrity and honor. We loved it when the Rising Stars and the Gospel Jubilee would come together on a program. Oh, there was some singing. There was some singing going on. I learned it from Roy. And I never told him, Roy, I learned it because of you. And you don't know how I was you singing that thing. Roy was one of my singers that I really like to hear. One thing that inspired me about the group was that everywhere they went, some family was with them. I found a lot of love when we sang with the Rising Star. They didn't know that we were just as hungry about singing as they were. And they brought out the best in us, and we brought the best of them. They had more effect on us than than any group. They were a group that just, I believe they were before their time. They were tough. They could sing. And their music, oh gosh. Mm. Your uncle, Joe, ooh, one of the best guitar players I've ever seen. He can play that axe, he can play.
I'm Elder Richard Dowdy. I'm Richard Dowdy's son. I was able to witness a lot of times the power of God move in the group. So when they sing, they sung under the anointing. And they have really set an example for any group that really wants to achieve some great stuff. I mean, if you done like the Rising Stars did, today, if they would be somewhere, in my opinion, they would be like, accomplish something like the Winans have accomplished. They really was distinguished. They set themselves apart, and it wasn't too many groups that they couldn't mimic and sound like. And I know they got the respect of the community, big time. If you heard the name Rising Star, people would come. They would flood the churches out, and if you saw them, you were like, wow, they know they were that good, but they were. So I give them 2 thumbs up for what they have accomplished. Deacon Bob, Deacon Brand, and Deacon Joe was some good musicians, real good. It was an honor and privilege to play with them, because when they came to rehearsal, you know, Uncle Joe was kind of like a perfectionist. He really learned the song to a T, and the rest of us just had to follow in behind him and accompany him. But he could really play his guitar. And I think a lot of the material, a lot of the genes, I would say, fell into the second generation, because I mean, all my cousins and I are very talented musicians and can sing and can do all of that stuff. So it just ran through the family, and the next generation, so to speak, was blessed to do a CD. But it really was in honor of them, because they paved the way, and back then, a lot of opportunity didn't come their way. They done it on their own and do some stuff that they had the opportunity to do, but they chose to stay the Rising Star. It wasn't about a name for them. They was a unit that stayed tight, and even up to today, 66 years later, if you get them all in the same building, they can duplicate the same thing.
And that song says, Lord, remember me. We'll take out this.
What is your favorite Rising Star song?
Oh, what a meeting.
Oh, what a meeting, of course.
Oh, what a meeting.
What a meeting.
Uncle Roy was sing that "Oh What a Meeting" by the Soul Stirrer. Your Uncle Joe will get that thing. I'll tell you, it was really good.
I just like to hear any of them.
Oh, what a meeting.
Oh, what a meeting.
Friends, when I bid farewell.
Oh, what a meeting.
Oh, what a meeting.
Oh, to every fee.
Oh, what a meeting. That's my favorite song.
I tried all I know, rehearsal, and tried to get it, and so I got to the place where I got kind of disgusted, and I thought, well, it's not to be. And in the midst of that, the Lord opened it up to me. And that had been the song that I've sang, I don't know how many times. And you know one thing? It's still in my heart. If I get a chance to sing it, I'll sing it again. I will. That is my song. That's my heart.
Friends, when I bid farewell, oh, to every
All right.
asked the question earlier about what do you think that kept the Rising Stars for 66 years and still keeping, still holding on, is the Spirit of God. And I would recommend to any group that's starting out that really mean what you're doing and want to be successful in what you're doing, take God with you. You think you can count how many members in the Rising Stars? We said 7, 8, which was 9. Because God was with us all the time. You know what I mean? The invisible group member, you know what I mean? But he kept us together, and I thank God for it.
Well, I have to say, Jesus Christ in our lives. And that's got to be the key. I can't say that we all are saved at all times, but we hung around the church until something got a hold to us. And that was the major reason why we stayed together for 66 years. We didn't have no turnovers, swapping in and out, people from here and there, here and there. We started off with a bunch of guys that needed training. And so we all learned together. And as time went on, we got better and better. We learned what we were supposed to do. And that was the thing we practiced. And, you know, when you got a man that start with you from the beginning, there's no reason in the world, even if you couldn't come up to what you would like for him to come up to, there's no reason in the world why you would swap him out for somebody else. And I think that's why we were so successful with our group, because we stuck together, and what a man didn't know, we tried to teach him, and nobody got offended. We stayed right there until he was able to do what we wanted him to do. And by the help of God, we were successful.
I think it was the love that we had for one another that kept us together. Many of us, once we got of age, could have moved to a different city or a different state, and we could have financially done so much better. But because we had a love for music, for our singing, and the fellowship, and the brotherly love that we had, we all stayed together. And that was important to us as children, young adult men growing up, and certainly to our parents as well. So we just tried to do the right thing. If you want to know and you want to say the right thing, we felt like that was the thing to do. And we found so much joy and satisfaction in that.
Is there a message, if you had to send a message to the group members of the Rising Stars, what would you say?
Well, I would say to them that if it's any way possible, that we could sing now, I would do it. I would love to do it. But I know that's impossible now because some is passed on, and then the others, and some has went away, but I got most of them still with me. And if I could, I would still do it. It's still in my heart, but I don't have the means that I need to really do that. But I will never get up. God bless us. And I still feel being blessed for what the Lord allowed us to do.
Continue to pray for us, because we still are Rising Stars. We don't get to travel much. Sometimes don't get to travel out, but we come to church occasionally and sing. And that's one thing that I like about it, because some of us are kind of sick and feeble now and ain't able. But the ones that still able, we still try to do what we can. And so we're going to need your prayers. But please continue to pray for the Rising Stars.